with a dome closing over their location, with tons and tons of fighting beginning to happen all around them, and curses, remnants of extremely strong curses, being everywhere. It feels. Maki, Itadori, and Mai head over to the nearest battle they can either sense and also see in the distance. And when they arrive, they're met with a curse, one of the strongest cursed spirits by the name of Hanami. Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. I am back with the finale, or part 2 out of 2 of What If Itadori was Aoi Todo's brother. As y'all know, this was kind of like his adoptive brother. That's kind of how I did it. But with that said, I hope y'all enjoy, and let's get right into the what if. Let's get it. We find that Itadori, Maki, and Mai are heading over to the curse by the name of Hanami. And when they arrive, they see Fushiguro and various others running for their lives. Immediately, Yuji is able to close the distance toward Hanami, kicking Hanami in the face, as Maki, who summoned or had her 3-section staff summoned, and now the fight is truly on. She begins using that 3-section staff, and in combination with the strikes that Yuji is landing, well, they're able to actually keep up. On top of this, Yuji is outputting even more strength than what he was against Maki. Maki even realizes this and actually feels that Yuji was just holding back, because Yuji is actually extremely powerful, and there's a technique that he was hiding even from Maki. They continue their fight, and Maki gets swatted away and she loses her 3-section bow staff, but Yuji is able to pick it up. Maki tells him to throw it back, but Yuji uses it and begins to basically overwhelm Hanami, at least for the moment. And as he does this, he throws the 3-section bow staff and charges back in at Hanami using a black flash. Landing the black flash, it actually obliterates half of Hanami, and she is completely shocked. This boy, he wasn't even outputting that much strength. Not until he landed the black flash. He's on a whole different level now. That's what it feels like, and he doesn't even seem drained. Yuji is far from done with Hanami and continues his assault, and just as he's doing this, well, Maki's about to grab her bow staff, or her 3-section bow staff, and when she reaches for it, instead of her grabbing it, there's a clap that can be heard in the distance, and Maki is gone. Maki has been traded out with Todo, and Todo grabs the 3-section bow staff and lands a huge hit to the gut of Hanami. Immediately, Yuji and Todo begin to synchronize their movements, synchronize their fighting styles, and they smile as they do so. The two brothers begin their extreme assault on Hanami. They tell Maki and Mai to leave right now, in which they rebuttal, saying that they can still stand, that they should be fighting. But those two, Yuji and Todo, say that there's no reason for them to fight here. Not right now. That they'll handle this until everybody is safe, and that they need to actually help the others. And in which they reluctantly agree, especially because they have to help each other. But Yuji, well, his words begin to ring clear into Mai and Maki's heads. All the stuff he's been saying about family and about caring for each other maybe is affecting their minds a little bit, and they decide to work together. During this fight, well, Todo is using his secret technique by the name of the Boogie Woogie over and over as they are overwhelming Hanami. Yuji has landed another black flash, wounding Hanami again. Hanami's barely standing at this point and has to actually pull out anything she can possibly think of, but Todo and Yuji are right on it. Immediately, Todo claps and she tries to predict, but it's wrong. He baited her into turning, and once she turned, Yuji lands an insane hit through her chest, and then Todo hits her with the 3-section bow staff right at the bottom of her chin, slinging her basically straight up and slamming her right back to the ground. This is going horrible for Hanami, and she's able to basically recover slightly, backing up. And as she stands, she begins to basically prepare to unleash her own domain expansion. But just as she's doing this, just as it feels that maybe, just maybe, she can just shift the battlefield a little bit, that's not the case when Satoru Gojo begins to suddenly dispel the veil over the battlefield. Well, she realizes that this is bad, that Gojo is now here, and Gojo is going to kill them if she's not careful. Yuji and Todo, though, are on her like glue, refusing to let her leave, thinking that, well, if they can take her out here, they won't have to worry about her later. They cannot let her leave, not now. Slamming her back into the ground, looking up toward Gojo, waiting for him to send a giant blast, just waiting, biding their time, pressuring her into just staying there. But unfortunately, they're not able to hold her long enough. A giant purple wave of cursed energy shoots at Hanami, and Hanami is just able to escape, but only with her head and half of her arm, and then also the top part of her body. Basically, her legs, her other arm is practically gone. It basically struck her at a slanted angle, basically taking off most of her body. The fight is now over. Unluckily, Hanami got away, but now they know what they're truly dealing with. But an attack on the Jujutsu sorcerers wasn't actually the plan. It seems like it was all a distraction to basically get the eyes or the attention of Satoru Gojo, and once they did this, they were able to enter Tokyo's school and take the fingers of Sukuna, at least the ones that were there. After hearing this, well, Yuji is frustrated that he could have consumed those fingers, and frankly, they would have never had to deal with this, but unfortunately, life is life, and they don't trust him enough to actually do that. But he doesn't care, deciding that it doesn't necessarily matter to him if they actually trust him. There's very few people that he cares, and frankly, Todo is what matters to him. As long as Todo has his back, well, as long as he's his brother, it won't matter anymore. There's few people that he respects, very few, and he's actually found a nice respect for Maki, even though he's heard some foul things from Mai, but maybe they can repatch or hopefully reattach their relationship they once had, and well, Itadori has definitely set that into action. But with everything done, frankly, there's nothing more for them to do. Everything kind of gets set down for now, and they have to have a reschedule for this whole match of some sorts or the exchange event. So they actually do eventually have that, and it's a baseball game? Well, Yuji isn't really too fond of doing sports, but frankly, he's really good at them. He's just a natural athlete, so this will be extremely easy for him. And, well, you can say that Kyoto wipes the floor with Tokyo, making it an easy win for them. And after their minor celebration, Yuji actually gets a really good notice of some sorts. It seems as if a certain someone by the name of Satoru Gojo is actually recommending him to be a grade 1 sorcerer. So Yuji, who's just arrived not too long ago, speaking of about a month or so, has already done leaps and bounds ahead of what he possibly could have done, especially being Sukuna's vessel. But now he's gonna go on his own, do a little trip. He normally would have a first year with him, or another first year, which is the only other first year in Kyoto, but he's actually out for now, and Yuji doesn't mind taking a mission on his own. So he heads out to a nearby city. And when he arrives at the city, it actually has to do with a nearby cemetery. That cemetery is leaking into a local park. This local park seems to be subject of a lot of cursed spirits. These cursed spirits have been basically taking kids, dragging them underground. It seems like the curses have a mind of their own. Basically, every time these kids would arrive, they take them underground, and then that was it. They're gone. They'd never be seen again. So Yuji decides that he's gonna try something very, very risky. Very, you could say, detrimental in terms of fighting a curse, and that's getting captured. So he heads to the park one day and begins hanging out, jumping on the swings and basically climbing on the monkey bars and all that good stuff a kid would do. Anything to take his mind off of this stuff, acting like he was a school kid, playing once again, and frankly, even in the circumstance, it was really nice. He felt like it was a one-time situation where he didn't have to worry about anything. And then he remembered why he was there, as a curse spirit grabs his ankle and drags him underground. When he enters the underground, it's as if it's this cave or this cavern. While underneath, he begins looking around to see that there are multiple cursed spirits, none of high quality, none of, crazy first grade cursed spirits or nothing like a special grade. He doesn't even sense anything close. He immediately smashes one in the face, the one that has his ankle, and he proceeds to actually beat on and kill the other cursed spirits using any of his new techniques, any techniques that Todo has taught him, but more importantly, the Black Flash. He's actually collaterals multiple with Black Flash, and begins to think that he actually is getting used to this as he goes. It feels kind of good in a way. He begins to just roam once again, thinking that this can't be it. Why would they be dragging kids under here? That doesn't really make sense to him. There has to be something else. Someone else? Maybe there's some person they're feeding. Maybe it's a cursed spirit, a special grade. Maybe it's a special grade that is sort of basically feeding on these children, and this would be correct. It seems like Yuji enters the domain, not the domain expansion, but the area of a special grade curse. This special grade curse is stalking in the darkness. It seems like that's the main power or curse power that this curse has. It blends so well in the darkness, and while in this darkness, he can basically grab Yuji, pull him in, and if he gets completely consumed by this said darkness, well, he'll be gone forever. A little kid sits in the corner crying, and just as Yuji takes a look at him, well, the darkness drags him in and takes him away. Yuji, in basically all pure instinct, dives into the darkness like a psycho, grabbing the kid and actually getting out of it, jumping out with the kid, but when he looks down, the kid's legs are eaten off, gone. He looks at his own legs to see that he's fine, but the kid is slowly but surely molding and dies, poofs into nothingness, and Yuji is shocked to see this. Yuji looks toward the darkness as a figure stands out and begins walking toward him, and Yuji immediately tries to strike it, but it just goes right through him. Yuji then lands in the darkness, and the figure tries to attack once again, but he's able to stomp on its head, jumping out of that said misty darkness. That must be the way he does it. It's not the shadowy figures that are actually the curse monster, it's something else. Yuji has a theory to test, and that theory could get him killed, but can definitely end this fight in an instant. So what he proceeds to do may seem like a psychopath idea, but frankly, that's why we love him. He's kind of crazy. He jumps into the middle of this dark mist. This special grade begins lurking like a shark and begins heading toward Yuji, but using his cursed energy that is surrounding him, he senses it. He senses this cursed energy, or this cursed spirit, and begins to actually pummel it. Every move it makes toward Yuji, he's able to counter it, kicking it up into the air and eventually exposing its real body to the light, kicking it outside of that dark mist that it's been covered in and not letting it back in. It's as if it wants the mist so badly, but he refuses to let it back in, grabbing the mist or the cursed spirit that is half covered in mist and half body underneath, and he grabs the leg of this cursed spirit, slamming him on the ground, taking his fist, using Divergent Fist, right to his chest, leading it all the way up to his face, blowing a hole through the back of its neck, and he proceeds to stomp its face in, killing the cursed spirit. The cursed spirit begins to dissolve into nothingness, and, well, Itadori reaches down into the chest of the spirit to find one of Sukuna's fingers. He looks at the finger and begins to basically just grip it and head out, but as he does this, it seems like his hand turns into a mouth, eating the finger. Oh, you're just a sight for sore eyes, aren't you, Sukuna?
You know it. Don't be like that kid, though. Come on. You know you like me around.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you say. I do, respect that you let me stay alive, I guess, but that's about it. Sukuna then just, disappears once again into his body and kind of mocks him, saying that it's not like he wasn't considering eating it as well, especially with what happened earlier. If he just ate the other fingers, well, none of this would even have happened. Itadori says he knows that, so it's not like he can go back in time to fix it. And, well, Sukuna says that they can agree on one thing. He can't go back in time and do that, but unfortunately that's definitely going to put a stake in his plan, at least for a little bit. Itadori says that it doesn't matter what plan he has, unfortunately they're going to die together, so at the end of the day, well, it's going to end up pretty bad for the both of them. Itadori then just heads back to Kyoto and actually speaks with Todo about who and what he fought, actually another cursed spirit that, well, had one of Sukuna's fingers, in which Todo is pretty interested to hear, saying that that is pretty good that he was able to defeat a cursed spirit on his own, and he said that it really wasn't too difficult, especially after comparing it to the fight with Hanami, and Todo says that's pretty fair. That guy was pretty strong. But the power of being brothers, it was easy as pie for the two of them. And Yuji kind of laughs at this and says like that is true. After this though, Gojo then appears at Kyoto and begins speaking with Yuji and Todo, saying that Yuji needs some more proper training. But obviously he's not the best at doing this, so he's gonna have Todo tag along if he's free. So the true, real training will then begin the road for Itadori to being one of the, or if not the strongest jujutsu sorcerers, and being a perfect vessel for Sukuna, eventually leading to his death. Will continue with this training, with Gojo training both Todo and Yuji simultaneously, but more like, well, Todo's kind of just there to help Yuji out. But with that said, that's for a story for another day. So if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, sub, comment down below any suggestions, and I hope y'all have an amazing day. Later.